The Israeli government is facing growing internal criticism over its handling of the war in Gaza, with former Defense Minister Gallant publicly voicing frustrations about military failures and intelligence breakdowns. His revelations highlight deep divisions within Israel's leadership and raise questions about accountability. Meanwhile, moving on to Lebanon, where the Lebanon has formed a new government after years of political deadlock. Led by Minister Nawaf Salam, the new cabinet aims to stabilize the nation and an economic crisis and geopolitical tensions. But with ongoing international pressures and Hezbollah's influence in question, can this government bring real change? Welcome to Focus. For the first time, former Israeli Defense Minister Gallant has openly criticized the Israeli government's failures in the war on Gaza. From intelligence lapses on October the 7th to mismanagement of military response, Gallant's statements exposed deep cracks in Netanyahu's leadership. He also revealed internal disputes about Israel's response to Hezbollah, suggesting that political hesitation cost Israel a major opportunity to strike its most dangerous adversary. With Gallant calling for a national commission to investigate the war's failures, is Netanyahu's government under threat? As Qnews reports, Gallant's frustration stems from the government's failure to act decisively during the early hours of the October 7th attack. He disclosed that he was not even informed overnight, learning about the invasion from his daughter's call at 6:30 a.m. His remarks also highlighted deep disagreements between Israel's military and political leadership, especially concerning intelligence failures and missed opportunities to target Hezbollah. With Israel's war strategy increasingly questioned, could Gallant's statements fuel a political crisis? And joining us to tackle this important topic is Dr. Amani Sulaiman, Director of the Mediterranean Studies Institute at Alexandria University. Dr. Sulaiman, a very warm welcome to the program, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today on the show. Gallant.
The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you very much. Gallant described the October 7th attack as a complete surprise. How did Israeli intelligence fail to anticipate such a large-scale assault?
Well, it's the usual Israeli arrogance because, the Jericho Wall document has been in the possession of the Israeli intelligence for a full year prior to the attacks. And everyone said that it was like an underestimate of the capabilities of Hamas. 40 pages detailed document said that an attack is going to happen, and it's not just rockets or missiles. It's going to be inside Israel, breaking through the fence between Gaza and Israel. And everyone thought it to be very dreamy or imaginary, and Hamas was not capable of achieving such a huge plan. And a reassessment happened like 3 months before the October 7th attack, and they again said that it's impossible for Hamas to achieve such goals, and it's just something that they have sketched but they cannot really implement.
Doctor, do you underestimate today, as we talk, Hamas's capabilities?
Yes, because because the larger scale of the operation, they thought that Hamas was not capable of achieving it, and they said that all militias and armies around the world just put plans and strategies, and they just really carry on with like 10% of them. So the Israelis, and it's not their first failure. They have experienced failures before. Let's forget October
Okay, you did not get my question. My
1973.
question was,
They thought that, yeah.
oh, today as we talk, Dr. Amani, do
Mhm.
you underestimate Hamas? Do you think it's weaker than it used to be?
No, I don't. I don't.
You don't underestimate Hamas.
Well, on some leadership levels, there are challenges, but I think that now with the relation getting back to Gaza, they can rearrange lines, and they can reform their lines among civilians. It's easier for them to do this with the civilians around.
Okay, he also revealed that he was left
So
out of
whatever they're
key.
facing on the level of leadership.
Okay, he also revealed that he was left out of key overnight discussions before the attack. Of course, I'm referring now to Yoav Gallant and his statements. What does this say about Israel's decision making process in times of crisis?
Well, it says a lot, not just in terms of decision making, but also about the ideological rift in the Israeli coalition itself. You know, it's a government of a coalition, and there are deep logical differences between many of the cabinet ministers, and it's clear that even with such a mass crisis, they couldn't really have trust in each other. And it's not the first time that Gallant do so, and we have seen him since maybe April or May on X or Twitter criticizing Netanyahu. We have seen many of them accusing each other of failure or of ignorance, and it really says something about the mistrust between the members of Netanyahu's government.
Gallant claimed that political hesitation prevented Israel from launching a major strike on Hezbollah. Could this hesitation be a sign of deeper internal divisions within Israel's leadership?
Yes, of course, because major attacks are determined by politicians, not by militants, even if he is the Minister of Defense. And he already criticized Netanyahu for his Hezbollah
Yeah,
and with Iran before. And Netanyahu replied publicly that he doesn't he didn't at the time that it was right to on his decision. Gallant insisted that all attacks should have started simultaneously in October 2023.
okay, his statement suggests Netanyahu was initially hesitant and pessimistic about the war. How could this impact Netanyahu's political standing moving forward?
Well, the Israeli public opinion is not happy, especially part of bringing back the hostages home. And Gallant just certainty and more questions about the capabilities of Netanyahu on negotiating political settlement from now on, even for the fate of the rest of the hostages. Gallant is someone whose words to be trusted for by the Israelis because he was in the operation room from day one. So for them, he's someone who didn't have trust in the man leading the government. And this is very dangerous for Netanyahu's views in the eyes of the Israeli citizen.
Okay, Gallant has called for a full scale investigation into Israel's war failures. Do you think this could lead to political consequences or even early elections?
Yes, of course, especially if Netanyahu was found insufficient to the position he is in, if he was proven to be mistaken with many of the decisions he has taken through 15 months of fighting on several fronts, it would lead to an early elections, or it would lead to the collapse of the coalition, especially if Smotrich and his party withdrew from the coalition, which Smotrich said he would do if Netanyahu did not restart attacks on Gaza again and end Hamas before after March, when the truce is over, the 42 days are over.
Okay, looking ahead, Dr. Amani, does this public criticism signal a larger shift in Israel's political and military strategy, or will Netanyahu's government continue to dominate?
Well, the problem is, even with this fragile coalition and with this big crack in how Netanyahu looks to the Israelis, there is no alternative or a face that the Israelis can rely on. There is no really bright figure in the opposition that the Israelis would put in place of Netanyahu. So my assumption is that, as you said, a larger investigation with these accusations from Gallant will put the Israeli citizens in more and more uncertainty. But nothing would be clear before March, when the truce is over and the fate of the hostages is far clear.
Are you
However, we cannot
optimistic
deny.
about the truce and the hostages?
No, not really. And I don't think that it would last until the end of it, until March. I think
Okay, how do
something
you,
is
to wrap up
going
this
to
segment, Dr.
interrupt it
Amini,
earlier.
how do you, in 2 sentences, please, how do you read Israeli public criticism towards Netanyahu and, of course, the huge, of course, internal division in his own cabinet, looking forward, if we look at the fate of Netanyahu or his destiny or wherever he goes?
Netanyahu is trying to play the card. Netanyahu is trying to play the card of the U.S. President Trump support, and he's trying to tell the Israelis that better days are coming. But what is coming on the Israeli channels from the people who used to sit with him in the same room doesn't say so. It really says that his political future maybe will end in 2025.
Let's wait and see. Dr. Amani Sulaiman, Director of the Mediterranean Studies Institute at Alexandria University, thank you very much for your insights. Yoav Gallant's statements have sent shockwaves through Israel's political and military establishment. As demands for accountability grow, Netanyahu's leadership faces one of its biggest tests yet. Now we turn on to Lebanon, where a new government has been formed after years of political paralysis. But will this be the change for Lebanon desperately needs? Let's wait and see.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين. وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
After more than 2 years of political deadlock, Lebanon has finally formed a new government led by Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. This cabinet faces enormous challenges from economic collapse to regional tensions. The government is being seen as a shift away from Hezbollah's dominance, with key ministers assigned to figures supported by Western and Gulf-backed factions. But with Lebanon's deep-rooted political divisions, can this new leadership bring real reforms? As the National reports, the new Lebanese government has been structured to reduce Hezbollah's influence while maintaining a fragile political balance. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has prioritized the economic reform and restoring relations with Gulf states. However, with Hezbollah and its allies still holding key positions, will this government truly mark a departure from Lebanon's past political gridlock? Joining us now is Khalida Zainuddin, political analyst. Mr. Zainuddin, welcome to our program and thank you very much for joining us. Sir, the formation of the new government marks a significant shift in Lebanon's political landscape. With the ongoing economic crisis and regional tensions, how do you believe this government has the tools and support needed to bring real stability to Lebanon?
Good afternoon. The formation of the new Lebanese government witnessed a principled shift with regard to the formation mechanism and the lack of quotas prior to the formation, because Lebanon was previously formed according to a basket of agreements between influential parties in the state on the selection of the officials, ministers, laws, committees, commissions, bodies, the presidency, departments, and the general managers. Today formed by the international and the Arab pressure in light of regional and international competition. Between the United States and NATO, Russia, China, and two Koreas, tensions in Serbia, South Korea, and Japan, the great Chinese rise and the Chinese technologies that began to worry the American and the financial and geopolitical alliance represented. The formation of the government, if it proceeds according to the Arab and international community, Gulf regional and international plans, will have many tools of financial support and re-energize the economic stability and the international investment, which will reflect positively on Lebanon and fix the economic situation of Lebanon.
Okay, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has pledged to make economic recovery and reconstruction a priority. Given Lebanon's financial collapse, how should the government balance the need for reconstruction with economic stabilization, sir?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I didn't hear.
Of course, sir. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam has pledged to make economic recovery and reconstruction a priority. Given Lebanon's financial collapse, how should the government balance the need for reconstruction with economic stabilization, sir?
Of course, Lebanon is economically and financially collapsed for a number of reasons. The most important ones, quotas, abusive employment, and the disadvantaged in the departments that need them are necessary and non-ecologically. And the president of government of Lebanon, who saw the light of day yesterday, has been the award to structure and safeguard departments in order to reduce the lack of need and alleviate the bachelors which is engaged in the sector of determining, according to modern laws and public sectors, by nationality, and activating the law on the recovery of money loaded international telecommunications to recover computers data. It feels confident in the state finance corporation and the Arab interest in investment support and inflation of money, even since the establishment of international support companies is also prominent, which has restored the economic focus on reconstruction immediately after the war and the return of Lebanon to its Arab status, as well as the establishment of new laws that encourage foreign investment and facilities, thus providing the opportunity for many steel investors, thus revitalizing the economy of Lebanon and the country.
Sir, U.S. envoy Morgan Ortagus recently stated that Washington had set clear red lines against Hezbollah's participation in the government. How do you interpret this, sir, and what implications does it have for Lebanon's foreign relations?
Yes, the United States of America, since the beginning of the war on Gaza and beyond October 7, is no longer the same as it was with the previous administration of the United States failed to back down in some files and even handed over the region to Israel, which also failed as a result of the internal conflicts between Netanyahu and the opposition, the conflict over the Israeli administration, and the elimination all the vacuum allow the Russian and Chinese to penetrate the region enrich in corridors, waterfronts, and wells. But after October 7 and after Lebanon's war, which has not yet ended, the United States of America, especially with the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump, has returned to lead the region directly and to redominate and exert influence in the region in accordance with its political and geopolitical and strategic interests, and in accordance with the territory of China and Russia in the region, and red lines for the government functioning, the ministerial statement, and the way the files are managed, which explains that the era of Tala and sex has begun to recede in Lebanon. In addition, the many meetings held the second president office by the United States and its envoys were proof the challenge had begun and would not allow the disruption of government, one-third of government sharing corruption, and disruption of the judiciary, and would not allow any decision or act threatening Lebanon and threatening Israel and around.
Sir, the Amal movement has secured 4 key positions in the cabinet. What do you think this means for Lebanon's defense policy, especially with President Joseph Aoun insisting on consolidating the state's monopoly over weapons?
Of course, the Lebanese state alone cannot achieve border security on Israeli side, Syria side, and Swiss against illegal crossing, smugglers, gangs, arms and goods dealers, human traffickers, and outlaws, to be achieved in accordance with the international vision, international conference sponsored by the United States of America to support Lebanon and the Lebanese armed forces with tools, logistical, military, and war equipment, training, aircraft, technology, tracers, follow-up, and money must be set up. In addition, points and towers must be developed in accordance with the international standards for monitoring and tracing risk, preventing the infiltrating of terrorists and criminals. In addition to activating United Nations resolutions, Lebanon called on the United Nations and sponsoring and representative state to take the issue of Lebanon seriously, to transform it and place it under international custody and guarantee not to allow Israel to violate Lebanon and Lebanese to withdraw from and Lebanon sovereignty to withdraw from all Lebanese territory, to establish a permanent international diplomatic team, and to sponsor the agreement, prevent it from being breached, and hold accountable to those who are not bound.
Okay, sir, given Lebanon's complex political landscape, what measures should the new government take to foster national unity while addressing security challenges and international pressures, sir, at the same time?
Of course, Lebanon's political landscape has been complicated for more than 40 years by the sharing of influence, sectarianism, clans, partisanship, embassy associations, and the transformation of Lebanon into an arena of messages and conflicts between Lebanon identity, foreign affiliation, and loyalty. To promote national unity first, a new constitutional amendment much of the current constitution and the new articles guaranteeing the right of Lebanese to citizenship and activate control over parties and dissolve parties that pose a political and ideological threat to strict control over educational curricula to promote education, promote national upbringing and civic education, to reformulate an educational law in line with modernity and loyalty to the country. Faith and institutions activate the ability of future generations to accept, coexist, and tolerate each other, reduce the role of corrupt clerics, and activate the role of national religious referendum.
Are you optimistic, sir, about the in 10 seconds, because I have to wrap up this segment now?
Future of Lebanon depends, as for what I explained before, and I mentioned about the work of government, about the responsibilities of ministers, which have been chosen by President and Prime Minister, about the plan of government with the internal community and with international community, to how to save Lebanon from collapse, how to return back the Arab community and the Gulf community to Lebanon, the investments, businessmen, projects, how to renew the constitutional of Lebanon to be moderate with the international community and
Perfect. Khalid Zainuddin, political analyst, thank you very much for your insights. Lebanon's new government is a crucial step forward, but major challenges remain. With economic collapse, international pressures, and political divisions still in play, the road ahead will not be easy. From Israel's deepening political crisis to Lebanon's fragile new government, today's developments highlight shifting dynamics in the region. As internal and external repressions mount, both nations are at pivotal crossroads. Thank you very much for watching In Focus. I'm Rana Qassas. See you next time.